Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden just essentially gave China a green light to finish or continue and finish, unfortunately, their invasion of Taiwan. This is a really sad and pathetic example of a lack of leadership. There is no military response to defending Taiwan. I understand this. They have nuclear capabilities. It would be mutually assured destruction. I understand there's no military answer. What Biden should be doing right this second is trying to call back the French ambassador that he forced out of Washington with a submarine deal, and trying to get all of Europe, the United Nations, every ally we have to prevent China from continued aggression towards Taiwan. But you know Biden won't do that because he's not capable, nor does he care. So hit subscribe to this channel right now, to my super chat. I can't do this without you. Thank you, everybody. Eric, Luke, everybody here, thank you. JR, hello. Kristen, hello. Thomas H, hello. No PhD, everybody here. JG, hello. Patrick, hello. Tina, hello. Everybody here, hello. Thank you. Patty. Thomas, so he does not want to defend Taiwan. We don't have a formal relationship. We don't even have a formal military relationship. We don't have a formal diplomatic relationship. And Biden says U.S. and China will abide by Taiwan agreement. The Taiwan agreement benefits China. It doesn't benefit Taiwan. And it doesn't state anything about the U.S. defending Taiwan. So all you had to do was simply say, we are going to work to get as many countries on board as possible to give as much diplomatic support to discourage China from invading Taiwan. You don't go ahead once the invasion starts and then try to garner support through the UN. But mashed potato brains Biden has basically, we're in a downward spiral because mashed potato brains has single-handedly tanked this country's prestige, whatever was left of it, after 20 years of Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Lincoln project, and nonsense from Biden, who actually voted, by the way, 20 years ago to get us into never-ending counterinsurgency wars. The Afghanistan evacuation and catastrophe was not part of the Doha Agreement. All Biden had to do, and hit subscribe to this channel, and hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I have a phenomenal segment on that channel that was up about an hour ago, so check that out, the Stock Market Crash channel. Tell your friends about that channel. All Biden had to do was evacuate starting in January, February, March, April. The Doha Agreement stated be out by May 1st. The Doha Agreement did not state use the T-ban, we'll call them that, for security. Give names of Americans and Afghans to our mortal enemies. See, Trump and Pompeo never negotiated that. I'm not a big fan of Pompeo, but Paul, hello. This is unbelievable. So 13 Americans lost their lives because of Biden, because he didn't start evacuating sooner, because he waited until the last minute just to say he was doing it his way. And people lost their lives. And all he has to do is start garnering support among countries throughout the world. How about France, Germany, UK, the National Security Council, the UN Security Council permanent members, maybe, God forbid, reach out to Putin. But he's not doing that because he's mashed potato brains. Don't you understand? The one China policy states that Taiwan is part of China. And It's like it's a phone call. The one thing Biden did to defend Taiwan is a phone call with Xi Jinping. What kind of diplomacy is this? Trump was a trillion times better at diplomacy than Democrats. Taiwan defense minister says tensions with China are the worst in 4 decades. Tsai Ing-wen, leader of Taiwan, has asked the international community to help her and her country and the island. If China does get Taiwan, they're a lot closer to the Philippines that we have to protect at all costs. South Korea, we have to protect at all costs. And Japan, who will almost certainly be very open with a nuclear program that they probably already have. But again, the ability to mess things up is unparalleled with mashed potato brains. It's almost as if he's desperately working to ruin the country. And again, I understand there's no military option. I get that. I understand. I get it. There is no military option. Yes, our Navy cannot stop China's Navy because that would lead to a nuclear war. I understand that. Oh, by the way, everyone subscribe to Eric's channel, his Odyssey channel. He live streams from there, and his gaming channel on YouTube. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that nobody in American media cares. They just say, oh, well, these are sorties. That happens all the time. And it's like, what are the chances that Z might be lying? The phone call went like this. Hey, man, come on, man. Hey, Z-Man. You know the deal, man. It's all about appearances, man. This is like, we already know what he told Ashraf Ghani. So he probably, hey, man, make it appear like you're not really invading, man. Come on now. Come on, you know the deal, man. Are you invading, man? No, we're not invading. Okay, that's fine. This is Biden's like, you're not really invading Taiwan, are you? And Z was like, no, we're not. What gave you that impression? 150 planes in 4 days? Yeah, it's fine. Not a problem. We're not invading at all. Well, why would you ask? Why? What have you heard? And then Biden's like, hey, man, okay, man. Hey, Z-Man. You're a good man, Z-Man. Thank you, man. You're not like cornflakes. I can now rub lotion on my leg hairs and relax. He told the world that we're completely inept. General Milley this will be another failure for General Milley, who, by the way, called Chinese generals to inform them that we wouldn't attack them because, of course, intelligence made up another fabricated hoax that we would attack another country because Trump was so he was so unpredictable. All mashed potato brain had to do was simply say, look, I'm on a global tour right now. Have Kamala Harris do it. My God, have somebody go and speak to Merkel and Macron and everybody else. Say sorry for stealing their submarine deal. You complete imbeciles. You stole our submarine deal. I am en colère avec you. So, why don't you just say you're sorry? Sorry we stole your submarine deal with Australia. Okay? Hey, come on, French man. Come on, Macron man. You know the deal, man. We're really sorry we stole your submarine deal, man. Patrick O'Shea! Great channel for updates. Mashed Potato Brain is playing Fonzie. Yes! Patrick O'Shea, thank you so very, very much. Patrick O'Shea, thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much for watching. He's playing 5D chess. Could you imagine Biden playing chess with either Xi or Putin? It would be like Stephen Hawking and Einstein playing chess with Nancy Pelosi. It's like, could you imagine in a battle of wits? I mean, we're so undermatched, it's unbelievable. We'd be overwhelmed. They'd be undermatched. But anyway, we have mashed potato brains who tanked this country's prestige with an Afghanistan debacle that was one of the worst diplomatic moments in American history. Literally one of the worst diplomatic moments. This was an evacuation that could have simply not left $28 billion to $60+ billion worth of weaponry. Nobody told mashed potato brains to work with the T-Ban. Nobody. Patrick, thank you so very, very much. Patrick, thank you. Nobody told mashed potato brains to wait until August to start the evacuation. And to the people of Taiwan, God bless you. It would be a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, if they were invaded. But again, Biden basically gave them the green light, not militarily. There's no military response. I understand this, and I'm not a hawk when it comes to military. And you could say there's a military response. You could try to force a Cuban Missile Crisis outcome. But then do you really want Biden with the fate of the whole planet? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, you can't, climate change activists can't tell you when the world would end, when the world will end because of climate change. But I can tell you the world would end very quickly if it was a Cuban Missile Crisis situation and Biden was at the helm. Biden is not JFK. It's like Lloyd Benson told Quayle, I knew JFK, you're no JFK. Biden is no JFK. He's not even Bill Clinton. Biden's not even Jimmy Carter. Biden is like, there's no precedent for, he's slurring his speech. Looks like, the poor man looks so frail. And it's like, okay, everyone knows he is the consequence of neuroses pertaining to Trump. And then you have these articles, a person in Trump's administration was a part of unusual evil. Oh my God. Really? Oh my God. Trump was so horrible, he allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. We had record low black and Latino unemployment. We had record low unemployment. He signed the Doha Agreement, or he negotiated the Doha Agreement, Abraham Accords. The Doha Agreement stated we reversed U.S. foreign policy. We were to reverse U.S. foreign policy of 20 years. Failed endless wars. And, oh my God, what a maniac. First president to step foot in North Korea. President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh my God, what a maniac. All mashed potato brains had to do was simply start a diplomatic mission or a diplomatic public relations effort, a diplomatic effort globally to discourage China from invading Taiwan. They're ramping up, people are like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's like, if God forbid they invade Taiwan tomorrow, there is nothing Europe will do. Want to know why? I'll tell you why right now. China overtakes U.S. as EU's biggest trading partner. There's nothing that Europe will do. And our base of power in terms of diplomacy is the EU. Because every other region of the world completely disregards us, which is understandable. Latin America, Africa, Asia. The only base of political power or diplomatic power we have in the world is Europe. And now even France is like, you know what? Take a hike. Hey, Biden, why don't you shove it where the sun don't shine? I'm horrible French accent. I could do a much better one. I definitely can. I don't know why I can't now. So, they're tied to Europe. I mean, Germany especially is tied to China. They can, God forbid, invade Taiwan tomorrow. We would do nothing. We would send our Navy to perhaps show, to perhaps evoke some kind of show of force, but there's nothing we would be able to do. There's nothing we'd be able to do. And then you'd have the Philippines and South Korea and Japan saying, okay, well, maybe we can also look at Russia. So these are the same cold warriors, the Democrats, who said they were going to protect the country and the world from Putin, and they've emboldened Putin. Well, you have gas at record highs in terms of prices. So you've emboldened the adversary you think that is so afraid of you. All they had to do, what is stopping Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States of America, from going and speaking to the United Nations Security Council? Because mashed potato brains can't do it, so just go or maybe he just did, so he can. Why doesn't he do it? These are the same. Look, you have to understand something. I'm not going to actually tell you the channels. I'm going to go to these channels right now, okay? And by the way, they obsess over one country in the world because many of these people are anti-Semitic on the left, and it's not about justice. It's about, okay, we're going to pick on one country in the world. You look at these people, what they're talking about on the left, 1 million+ sub-channels. Nothing to do with Taiwan, nothing to do with the stock market crash that's coming up, nothing to do with the infrastructure bill that they don't even want. I mean, it's all the same public relations nonsense. It's all the same public relations nonsense that you hear from CNN. It's a repackaged version of CNN. It's continually a repackaged version of CNN. So it's it's unbelievable. It's just always Trump is mean and horrible. Nothing substantial. Nothing substantial. Absolutely nothing substantial at all. And then they spin a recent interview. There's one person spun a recent interview. Oh, the Trump interview went horribly wrong. No, it didn't. What are you talking about? We have horrible economic numbers. There's going to be a financial collapse or crisis, possible collapse. And it's there's nothing. I'm looking at the. There's nothing about the interview on Yahoo that was horrible. Nothing. We have record highs in terms of, we have highs not seen since 2008 in terms of the consumer price index, producer price index, inflation. We added so much national debt. We added so much to the national debt. It's over 100% of GDP. Inflation is not transitory. It's going to continue. That was his point. And then one YouTuber on the left, pretty big one, says, oh, yeah, Trump interviewed, went horribly wrong. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You have the worst economic outcomes. Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The top 10 highest unemployment rates are within Democratic run states. There's no comparison. Look at Biden's economic numbers. The fact we're heading towards a stock market crash because of Biden's policies, because Democrats tanked the economy and prevented people from working. And that's all they're talking about now. I mean, watch the stock market crash channel. All the debt and all the issues pertaining to debt in China are affecting the United States of America. We have artificially low interest rates. We have $10 trillion pumped into the economy. And all the left is talking about is Trump's personality yet again. Yet again. Then you have Yahoo like, oh, well, the average growth without COVID in your administration was 2.5%. And the last 3 years of President Obama's administration was 2.3%. So how is that? It's like, yes, and guess what? The last 3 years of President Obama's administration doesn't account for the first 5 years, genius. The first 5 years. And so you still had... It took a while from 2017 to 2018 and 2019 to have a record-breaking economy. We had record low unemployment. We never had that with President Obama. We had hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs created. We had 200,000 lost with President Obama. There is no debate in terms of economy between Democrats and Republicans on this issue. Like zero debate. You can look at the numbers. Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics right now. The worst numbers are in Democratic-run states, just like they had the worst outcomes in terms of health the past year and a half, with New York and New Jersey still on top and highest per capita rates. Well, of course, Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy. So there's zero debate. But see, again, they're not even talking about issues like Taiwan. They don't care. Like, look, on the left, it's a repackaged version on YouTube of CNN and MSNBC. It's a repackaged version. Like, if they slice and dice numbers enough, the last 3 years of President Obama's administration, he wasn't investigated by America's intelligence community. Okay? Media didn't didn't level 90 plus percent, 92% negative media coverage. Okay? And then they're just trying to, like, Yahoo is like, I like what Trump did, you know? And so Bureau of Labor points at 6.4 million jobs during Obama's administration was 7 million jobs. But see, again, if that's 6.4 million, including 2020, he did a heck of a job. And if it's just 7 million jobs for 8 years, President Trump did a million times better than President Obama. But again, I mean, I'm just looking at, like, what's the left talking about? They're talking about things that are, they're talking about whatever, like, the obsessions of Democrats. They're not actually talking about global issues. They're not talking about the horrendous financial crisis we face. We're facing a financial crisis, and they're going to complain now about wealth inequality when they created the foreign policy and economic catastrophe we're going to face. They're worried about Facebook and national security pertaining to what's on Facebook. Facebook has zero influence in the lives of most Americans. Zero. I would say influence meaning like how they think politically. Because unfortunately, Facebook has a negative impact on a lot of people, just like Twitter and Instagram. I'm talking about social media in general has a negative impact overall. But like, they're not talking about Taiwan, the stock inflation, the stock market crash, Evergrande. They're not talking about, you won't find a pundit on the left talking about all the cargo and container ships. So, exactly, Paul. But I find it very interesting. It's like really interesting. There are so, like, Taiwan and China, inflation, the greatest amount of margin debt, the highest amount of margin debt in the history of this country. And the stock market going up and down, this is like the volatility. These are going to be the last days, weeks, months, where volatility will be just like taken advantage of simply to profit off trades. Okay, like it's going to go up 300, down 500, up 400, down 500 until finally people realize, okay, the quantitative easing, the $10 trillion, artificially inflating the economy. None of the people on the left are talking about this. They're going to find some pathetic, hysterical spin to blame Trump, and no one will buy it. Because I'm telling you right this second, you're watching this, it's late at night, I'm telling you, go on any million sub channel on YouTube on the left. They're not talking about any of this stuff because it all points back to Biden and Democrat incompetence. They're not talking about any of it. The wealth inequality has increased because of Democrats, not despite, because. Maybe 20 years ago you could say that Republicans were on the wrong side of history. Now Democrats are on the wrong side of history, and Biden basically gave away Taiwan. What do you think the phone call was about? You think that Xi and Putin, like, they know, first, last, if my name was accountable, would you hold me? First, last, hello! First, last, thank you. Thank you so very much. First, last, thank you. Desert, thank you. First, last, thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. First, last, thank you. All Biden has to do is very simple. I'm not a military hawk. I think that it should be a last resort. I'm not a pacifist, but it should be a last resort. You should never engage in a counterinsurgency war ever, anywhere, no matter what, and you shouldn't engage in a nuclear conflict. I don't doubt for a second Biden will get us into a nuclear conflict. He'll probably try to show force when Taiwan is invaded, because it will be invaded. And we will have a stock market crash. And we will have a financial crisis because of that stock market crash. I'm telling you things that people on the left are not even touching. And it's not a matter of, I'm not saying that I'm not even part of the left, thank God. I bring that up simply because half the country is not focused on this. I know there are conservatives focused on a lot of the things that I've talked about, but not everyone is obsessing and telling you about when I predict the stock market crash taking place. It's going to unfortunately be very prescient and unfortunately be accurate. This is not something that I'm happy about. I say save money every month, every week, every day. Save as much money as you can for a rainy day. You're going to need it. And we're all going to need it. We're going to need to be able, in a financial crisis, to have a rainy day fund. You need a rainy day fund. And if you say, well, I don't want a bank account, it's like, you know what? A savings account is logical. You can put money every month or every day, every week, every day. And, I would even say stock up on supplies, because you don't know, look, when the crash hits, and it's going to be soon, it'll be very difficult to get loans. Banks could go under. Hedge funds will go under. We've already seen the canary in the coal mine, which is Archegos. The stock market will crash because of margin debt and derivatives and a real estate bubble and immense government and debt linked to corporations. Immense debt and margin and derivatives that are unregulated and quantitative easing and fiscal stimulus that artificially pumped money into the economy, and massive supply chain issues and massive labor shortages. This will happen. Be prepared. Save your money. And if you have money in stocks, you made money on Bitcoin, whatever, take some money off the top. It's not gonna ruin your life if Bitcoin goes from, what is it now? 40 something or 30 something? What is it now? 51. It's not going to ruin your life if it goes to 70 next month, because the market could keep going up. After every segment of my stock market crash channel, after every segment that I pontificate, and it's not pontificate, obsess. One thing about me, and I'm very proud of this, I don't judge, I don't condemn, I don't there's no moral spin. Sometimes there is, but there's generally no moral spin. Mashed potato brains gave Taiwan away to China because he's inept and incompetent and not capable of forming a diplomatic alliance to try and discourage China. He's not even capable of forward thought, Biden. He just does what he's told. He has no vision for anything. Okay? The highlight of his day is maybe what he has for lunch. Who cares? But it's not going to ruin your life if Bitcoin goes to 75 next month or next week, and you sold a little bit off the top and saved the money, because Bitcoin could go to 25 next week also. It could go to 10. People say, well, it's not going to go to 10,000. What are you talking about? It could. It could. He was at 16,000 in November of 2020. Okay? We haven't rebounded at all. So, when we had a good economy, the economy was actually a good economy. It was at 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever. I don't really... 8,000, 9,000. It doesn't matter. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt you to take some profits off the table. That's it, and put it in a savings account, just so if you need the cash. Because if God forbid, if you're a person who, if they lose all their money in the market with Bitcoin or with stocks or with Tesla or whatever, and you have nothing to fall back on, well, what are you going to do? Your paper wealth is meaningless now. So take some profits off the table and make sure you have money for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, if God forbid you don't have an income. And if you're about to retire, you have no business being in the market now. No business at all. No business. If you're Carol, hello. If you are about to retire, you have no business at all being in the market. Like, no business at all. But again, I mean, look, why would China invade Taiwan now? Because China has massive problems economically, and they could use this to deflect. Because Xi would probably gain a great amount in terms of support. Patriotism would be skyrocketing in China, or the nationalism, whatever. Patriotism, however you want to describe it, they would be in a moment of euphoria if they took over. And who knows what would take place, God forbid. I don't know how many people could lose their lives. I mean, it would be an absolute catastrophe. But in terms of a military victory, it could be a pretty clear-cut, decisive military victory for China. We would not be able to counter it militarily. Nobody would. And they could say, well, you know what? It'll be Hong Kong. It'll be like Hong Kong for 40, 50 years. Or they could say, well, in 10, we're going to take it over, but we won't impose any political or economic changes, massive ones, for the next 5, 6, 7, or 10 years, or whatever. They could do a million things, and Biden would be like, okay, no problem. Again, there is no military response because they have nukes. That's why people want nukes. So you don't get into an actual military response with the U.S. or a confrontation. There is no military response. But, however, although there's no military response, you can, like I said, create an alliance or diplomatic momentum to discourage China somehow. But they're the EU's largest trading partner, so you can kiss that goodbye. And France can't stand us, and Germany probably realizes, we've lost it with mashed potato brains Biden. We have no. With Trump for 5, 6, 7, or 4 years, oh my God, our allies. It's like, they had an ambassador leave. They withdrew an ambassador from here in Canberra in Australia because we couldn't wait. The submarine deal with Australia. I love Australia. God bless the people of Australia. God bless my Australian crew. I love Australia. You couldn't wait. You had to sell them. You couldn't let them have French submarines. This is a big problem. You couldn't let them have French submarines, the Australians. You couldn't just leave their submarine deal alone. General awareness is pretty much everything. So you just have to be long-winded. That's the way I am. Just if you want to say something like, someone is evil, just say, a person who happens to be a U.S. politician is the epitome of everything horrible in life. And then that'll get out of, address the technological issues. Look, you can read Thucydides and find out what happened in the Peloponnesian War. Thucydides' siege of Milos. The siege of Milos occurred, which was a war between Athens and Sparta. The siege is best remembered for the Melian dialogue, a dramatization of the negotiations between the Athenians and the Melians before the siege. So you could find out, this is basically, unfortunately, what's taking place with Taiwan and China and the U.S. The U.S. is Sparta, Taiwan is Milos, and China is, no. Yeah, China is Athens. I mean, we've seen this before throughout U.S. history. World history. We've seen this before. I just, God bless the people of Taiwan. It will be a very dark moment, sad moment, treacherous, terrible, terrible moment in world history. But look, they believe it's part of their country. I mean, this is ingrained within this is probably the greatest national security objective of the PLA and of the Chinese Communist Party. It's the greatest national security objective. So what are you going to do? Okay, we've run through the world with disregard, and you can't. I mean, God bless our veterans and our soldiers and the sacrifices they've made to keep us safe and protect us and implement our national security interests. But we have civilians who are complete imbeciles and maniacs like Bush and Bush and Biden and Trump came and completely reversed U.S. foreign policy. Thank God, which is how you go from Bernie to Trump. He's not Trump gets things done. And if it wasn't for 92% negative media coverage and fake and phony investigations into fabricated hoaxes, you'd have to be a complete imbecile to believe. You would have to be the biggest fool on the planet to think that Trump worked with Russia because a bunch of liars told you so and they made it up with zero evidence, and then eventually nobody charged. So nobody charged for conspiring alongside Russian operatives, which is, of course, a ridiculous thing. But, I mean, what can you do? If it happens, it'll be a devastating moment in world history, but it'll be one of the great moments for China, or for Beijing, or for the PLA, or for the Communist Party there. So, and it'll be a terrible, terrible time, I'm sure, for the people of Taiwan. The best thing that could possibly happen is if they do invade, to make it, to not implement any radical changes, within the next 5-10 years, something, you don't want to do that. Then that would be a detriment. Then that would be very detrimental for China. But if they did something like a takeover of Taiwan that didn't result in, massive, there's no good way to do it. But if it works out militarily for them, I'm saying it's a tragedy and a catastrophe, but, they can't turn that country into a communist country the way they have. They couldn't do that, or else it would be very detrimental to China. So, but militarily, unfortunately, it would be like the greatest national security objective that they would attain. And unfortunately, it would show the world yet again that Biden is completely clueless and inept. All he had to do was build a diplomatic alliance against such a thing taking place. I understand, like I said, there is no military answer because they have nukes. Give me your thoughts below. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. To my super chat, thank you. And thank you so very, very much. Jack, everybody here, thank you so very much. Amanda, hello. Thanks, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. Hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. Be on my main channel. Be here tomorrow evening at